everybody. I wanted to pop on here really quickly. I know I should be on my real camera and not my laptop, but don't tell my husband, but I lost the battery charger for our camera, so this is kind of the only option I have right now. But anyway, I was going to just put up some words on the screen, but I wanted to come on and talk to you directly. We've had a lot of new followers. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Today, I had been looking at all of the footage that we had from going to visit our friends on Phelps Farm, and as you will soon see, because of our kids being a little bit crazy and just wanting to spend time with them and being super busy, we didn't get enough footage to make a cohesive video. It's just like really random clips, but I wanted to share them anyway, and I had the idea to also kind of promote our podcast. If you didn't know, we have a podcast, and we did a podcast with the Felts when we were there. I am going to upload the audio from our podcast and just kind of have these clips playing in the background for as long as they go to kind of supplement what we're talking about and to show you a little bit about their farm and the process that our husbands went through butchering the cow and processing the cow, and a little bit of our kids running around the farm. So if you couldn't tell, if you are sensitive to graphic content, I would just go ahead and click off right now. There's not going to be anything super graphic because YouTube doesn't let me show that, but we will have a cow carcass, and if you're not into seeing that, then just go ahead and skip this one, or just listen to our podcast so you don't have to see any of it. This is all for educational purposes, and to supplement the podcast, which is also for educational purposes. We really like to help other people learn how to butcher their own animals to be more self-sufficient. I think it's a really important thing to know and to learn, and I actually wish we could show more of that. But like I said, we just weren't able to get the footage, and there's a lot of limitations on YouTube in general with showing that kind of thing. So this is what we got. Enjoy if this is your kind of thing, and if not, we will see you another time. Again, we would love for you to check out our podcast. Also, we post much more regularly to that and our Instagram. All of it is with My Hands Homestead. You can find us on Instagram. We have a little Facebook page, and on any podcast app, your iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, any of that, you can find our podcast there. So we can begin. We had hoped to do a little intro with the Felts before we left. It is now Wednesday of the following week, and we are home, unfortunately. My kids were just tiny little lunatics and did not allow us to have any more time than we had already recorded. So I will be reading the intro that Molly wrote up on one of her Instagram posts to give you guys a little bit of an idea of who they are and what kind of farm they have. So here we go. Action. My name is Molly. I'm 27. My husband of 3 years is Jacob. He's almost 32, and we've been together for 7 years. We've lived all over the country. We have 2 cute little boys, Ford, who just turned 2, and Brooks, who's 8 months old. We've been on our farm for a year and a half now and are absolutely loving it. We live on 25 acres in Monroe, North Carolina, and it was, and mostly still is, completely overgrown because no one had lived here for 10 years before us. Everything you see, we've done ourselves. All fencing, land clearing, shelters, etc. And we're very proud of how far we've come, but we have a long way to still go. We currently have about 100 animals, including cows, sheep, and alpaca, goats, livestock, guardian dogs, pigs, barn cats, rabbits, chickens, guineas, turkeys, and an indoor dog. Well, we definitely have less cows now. We also have a pretty big garden that we have an even bigger plan for this year. We love this crazy life so much and encourage everyone we see to move to the country and go the self-sufficient route. If you're new here, it's nice to meet you. Okay. And scene. So that's a little bit about them. They are not kidding. They have like every animal imaginable. It's so cool. I had never actually seen like real live pigs before. I mean, maybe I have, but not that I can remember. And it was so much fun. My boy and I got to feed the pigs, and they have a really cool chicken setup operation, and really, really cool everything. It was really cool to see. We really loved being there. That's a little bit about them, and now I promise we can start the actual episode.
All right, guys, so we have made the trip. We are down at Felt's Farm with Molly and Jacob. Pardon the noise in the background if you hear stuff. We have all the kids here.
Like 100 kids.
It's family vacation. Jacob and I just got back in from an epic morning of duck hunting. What we see, Jacob? We might have seen 3 wood ducks go to the creek and a heron, and that's it's pretty much a wrap, huh?
Yeah. Besides the heron trying to land on us, we didn't really have any other excitement.
Yeah. So it was a little cold morning, but we came in here last night, drove all the way up. One of the kids was a nightmare, of course. You guys know how that is. So we are about to get the ball rolling here. There's 2 Longhorn cattle that we're going to go ahead and butcher today, or get as far as we can today. The weather's nice. It's pretty cold out there. Per usual, we're winging things a little bit. We looked around last night about where we want to hang them up. Couldn't really find any place as far as the barns go that can support that kind of weight. But there's a nice, really big, older, healthy oak tree that sits right behind their house. And we're going to go ahead and hang them up there. So I've been warned that these cows are very mean and will charge you out of the pasture. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why they want to go ahead and do these 2 particular cows. I went to check them out this morning since, since I'm the one that butchers, the cattle. And they ran away from me, so they must know that something's up.
Yeah,
they sense it coming.
They feel your cow killing aura.
So let me ask you, Molly and Jacob, how excited are you guys to stock the freezer here, especially with Ford really only being able to eat beef with his allergies?
There's so many different levels of excitement. Not only are we excited to get rid of the mean cows that do charge you through the fence, in the fence, around the fence, anywhere. We are so excited because, like you just said, Ford can only eat beef. So to have fresh grass-fed beef and steak in our freezer is going to be huge for us. And I'm hoping to be able to make some bone broth with it. And, well, I mean, even just beef for us. We go through a lot of beef and ground beef, and we would love to have some fresh steak. So all different levels of excitement right now. We are so excited. And this is the biggest animal that we will have butchered from the farm. And so we've never seen a large animal like this be butchered and harvested. So we're excited to learn and see how that's done as well.
Yeah.
And, most excitingly, I'll be able to get back in my pasture. We're about to have some baby lambs coming pretty soon, so it'll be exciting to go back in there and be able to play with all the other animals that are in there.
Timing.
Very true.
So going forward, Jacob, after having this experience with these cows, what are your thoughts about having more meat cows? Like, is this a turnoff for more meat cows? Is this?
I can get her. Sorry, baby action here. I'll trade you.
The kids are going. Is it a turnoff from doing meat cows, or is it something you're going to think about when you buy cows in the future, maybe for better stock? Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you got a really good deal on getting all these cows, and maybe now you kind of see why they were such a good deal. Like, probably a cull from the herd that you got them from, or what are your thoughts on all that?
Absolutely. I definitely think that there was obviously some mean cows that they realized were mean, and they were trying to get rid of them, and that's why they were such a good deal. And moving forward, at least we got 3 awesome calves out of them. We got 2 steers and a heifer out of them, so at least we'll have meat for next year too. But I think moving forward, when it comes to buying actual cattle, I definitely think that we'll try to actually be more selective of what we buy, whether that's either bottle feeding one and being able to have it run up next to you all the time, or whether it's actually finding some where people already raised them and they're actually nice enough to be around and been around other animals, etc. Still don't want to go to auction house or anything like that. I want to make sure I actually meet some of the local farmers around me, so the people that are actually doing it right, and take advantage of some of the resources we have around us. But I want to be actually more prepared next time and have the right infrastructure around us. Have a couple head gates and a couple other stuff, maybe even like a herding dog to be able to herd these cows into different pastures. So there's a lot of stuff that obviously was a huge learning experience, but at the end of the day, we're getting meat in the freezer, and that's all that really matters.
Overall, it was a win for us. We got a mean cow, an escaping cow. We had a perfect cow that passed away, but we had 3 beautiful babies from it, and so money we spent was definitely worth it, even though there was a lot of stress involved. But like you just said, at the end of the day, we got meat in the freezer, which is always a win.
Yeah. And I know one thing that I don't know if we mentioned on the podcast, but April has definitely mentioned it on her YouTube videos before, is we're not trying to come across as us on a small farm. We're not trying to come across like how this is how you do things. We obviously, it's trial and error a lot of the time. And especially when you work jobs and you have a small farm and this isn't your livelihood, a lot of things go wrong.
Yes. Most of the time, everything goes wrong, and you improvise.
Right, and so we improvise, and that's what we're doing today. Like you said, you hadn't originally planned to do this with these cows, but you can. If you're starting out and you're running a farm and you're afraid of doing some things, just remember, at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff, especially around your livestock, there's always a solution. And the solution a lot of times can just simply be you put the meat in the freezer. It's not a loss. Things didn't go your way a lot of the time, but for the price, like you said, the price that you guys paid for these cows and the return product that you're going to get, it's still a win.
Especially right now when times are so crazy and there's shortages around everywhere of all different types of meat. That's a huge win for us. And since it's Ford's only meat, this is extra huge because we'll have it for the next year or two,
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the biggest win is butchers are backed up till 2022 already. So luckily we know somebody named Nate that knows how to do this kind of stuff.
We got super lucky on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was actually talking to one of my friends, Randy Fulcher. He owns a small little operation, kind of like what me and you both have going on. And we were talking about the need for processing, especially in our areas where we live. And, maybe that's something that we look at in the future about, going into business and like a processing style thing. But, he was telling me how backed up just the processor right down the road from us is. And it's like learning these type of skills is really important, and especially in these crazy times, people take for granted being able to go to the grocery store and buy this meat and get all that. Yeah. But one day, there's a chance that there's not going to be a grocery store to go to, and you have to learn how to be able to do this kind of stuff and know where your meat comes from, and all that. Like, you have the vegans and everything who try to spin on you like, well, if you had to butcher it yourself, you wouldn't eat it anymore. And well, you just gotta show them that they're wrong. Like, we'll just do it ourselves, and then we'll be fine with it,
And I also think, going back to that, like how you said, like what you're saying is do it yourself, but you're also at the same time you're seeing what's going into that animal and what you're getting out of it. So you know what the different foods you're feeding them compared to the guy that you're getting your pig from that's been feeding them frozen chicken nuggets for the last year. So.
Yeah, and and I'm here on your farm right now, and I get to see everything, which is cool. First time being out here.
Oh my gosh, everyone's up here.
The cows get to run around and live their whole life, and they're not alone and gated up like at the big meat factories and stuff like that. Like, they get to live a good life.
They get to live a happy life with their babies
and cow life, doing cow stuff,
doing cow things.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so when we got into sheep, I used to have a saying that I used to tell April, and our main goal was for all our animals to live, to have a great life and have a great day every day, and then have one bad day, and that's it.
But they don't even know that it's a bad day because it's so quick and painless that it does not affect them in any way. They are happy up until the second that they are no longer with us.
Yep, right? Exactly. So we're gonna get ready. I'm sure there's gonna be some video hearing around, and we'll talk about that later. Some people don't want to see certain things. Some people do want to see certain things. So we're going to go ahead and get prepped up and get started here. And, we'll see how it goes. All right, so we have officially... so we butchered the 2 cows yesterday. Today we're working on processing out the bigger meats. So let's talk about how everything went. So this is your first time experiencing large, beef cattle getting butchered and everything like that. What were your thoughts about how the whole process went, Jacob?
I was kind of surprised at how easy it actually was. You think a giant animal like that would take a lot more work doing it all, and I was actually surprised on how easy it was. I think the hardest part was actually just getting him out of the muddy field with the tractor. We had a couple loopholes, I guess, that happened there, or whatever you want to call it, but we definitely lost the bush hog in the middle of the process, and it's stuck in the pasture now. But other than that, I was really surprised on how easy it was, and I guess how smooth everything actually did go after getting them out of the field.
Yeah. So obviously we had the issue with your tractor. You've never taken the bush hog off before, and where the cow ended up giving us the best opportunity to humanely dispatch it was right next to the muddy shelter, and we ended up having to dump the bush hog to get the cow out. So now, when you say it was easier than you thought, when you think about that, what exactly made it easy? Like, what would you tell listeners if they're going to do it on their own farm? You must have the following things, because you remember trying to just move the cow a little bit when the bush hog was stuck, thinking that we might be able to just kind of move it a little bit and get the tractor out, and obviously that was not the case, which is why I didn't even bother taking 2 steps towards you for that part, because been there, done that, and I've learned. Even this year I thought that I might personally be able to move the cow that we did on our farm with my 4-wheeler using the winch, and that did not happen. So so what would you say, must have equipment to do this?
Must have has got to be a tractor. You got to be able to have enough power to be able to pull that thing out of whatever situation you might end up in, whether that's mud or even a perfect pasture. You still need to have the right power to be able to pull it. Definitely you're going to need something to pull it with, so either a strap. We used a little neck toe strap, I guess you would call it, and we're able to tow it easily out of the. I wouldn't say easily because of how much mud we got stuck in. It would have been easy if we didn't have torrential downpour, we didn't live in a flood zone, etc. But obviously you're gonna need a pulley to be able to winch it, or rope. Obviously we use a giant, I guess not a giant rope. We use some am steel rope to be able to hoist it up onto a tree. So I'd have some type of we used the oak tree next to our house. Luckily, we have a big branch that was kind of low that we were able to take advantage of, or some type of 6x6 or a giant post that you can actually pull up on and set it up.
Frigidly cold weather.
Definitely some.
You use something different to hold it.
Right. So I use we have a 6x6 that hold everything up. And honestly, with the sounds I hear from that 6x6, I kind of worry that maybe I need to upgrade, and that's something that April and I have talked about. I might just straight up use telephone poles, get some telephone pole sections. But yeah, so we used that am steel rope, which is something my best friend Steve turned me on to. Steve does a lot of saddle. He makes these saddles and uses rope to deer hunt with. He doesn't use deer stands. And he was showing me how 1/4-inch line can hold over 1,000 pounds, all this other stuff. It's just as strong as steel cable. And the problem I was having with my steel cable, which I use an electric hoist, and I didn't have the best angles on mine, and it scratched it up, which caused splinters everywhere. And with the kids and everything, and just for you, grabbing with your hand, the metal splinters can really mess you up. But they make this am steel rope that holds just as much weight and just as strong. I think
it's 24,000 pounds. Obviously we could probably do 18 cows with that rope.
Yeah. Was yours 3/8 or 5/8?
3/8.
3/8 diameter. Yep. And we just hooked it up over a little it's a smaller strap that's meant to go around a pole, and then you can hook into it with a snatch block pulley, which is what we did on that tree limb. And We tested the tree limb out. It held.
It did.
And I didn't even see it bow or anything.
No,
honestly.
that's the big trusty oak tree.
That it held up, but that was a perfect spot, right in the backyard. I like that y'all were close to the house, so if you needed to come in or do whatever.
Yes, we had power, we had water, we had everything we needed. Also, other stuff that I'd recommend getting, definitely some type of barrels for whenever you gut the cows. 55-gallon drums. Ours had ink in them prior, and we just dumped it gutted it straight into it, so that was super easy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would get you a great set of knives. We have some crappy ones that we use for chickens and turkeys and stuff. And it does the job, but
would not be able to do
I
this.
couldn't imagine trying to do a cow with it or a pig or anything else. So definitely invest in some great knives. That made the process a lot easier. Sawzall, some towels, maybe some clean. We kept using a bucket to wash our hands with. You're getting a lot of blood on you. Missing anything?
I mean,
A table to put your meat on.
Well, yeah. So we kind of had some luxury items.
Some fridges.
We have a giant. What is it? It's like a 4 foot by 4 foot cutting board that I use. That I decided to get after butchering a couple other animals. I just decided it was just best. It's easier to work with. You definitely need a good set of steel to sharpen your knives while you're working because the hide does dull it down, and breaking everything down dulls it down. And you can use a Sawzall, just have a couple extra blades. Try to find you Sawzall blades that don't have any paint on them. You can't always find them like that, but if you do, that's the best way. And then the 55-gallon drums. You saw it firsthand yesterday. Like 55-gallon drum is the perfect size because when we were done, it's just full to the brim right there. And you have a front end loader. Some people don't. We don't. So it'll be easier for you to pick up those drums because we actually haven't moved them yet. But one thing to think about if you don't have a front end loader or don't really have a way to lift it up, like you're not going to be able to lift those up by hand at all. So try to set it up on something that you can already move it if you're just a small little farm operation there. So we still have to move that. So today we're breaking down some of the cuts. Normally you would age it 7 to 10 days or maybe even a little bit longer, but obviously we're a little bit pressed for time. And so we're just going to we'll vacuum seal up everything really today and tomorrow, and then whenever you decide to throw it in the freezer, it's already ready to go. Grind can go right in the freezer already because that's already going to get tenderized that way. And so I mean, what now that we're working on it, now that you're seeing all the cuts getting broken down, what do you think about like the size of your cow? Like, are these steak cuts bigger than you thought they'd be, smaller than you thought they'd be, less fat, more fat? What's describe like the color and everything that goes into all that.
What I was super surprised about is how red the meat actually is. It really surprised me because you go to the store and you get it, and I would describe this as super dark, lean meat. We don't grain feed our animals or everything; they're all grass fed. So it was really cool to see. I was kind of confused because there wasn't all like the ribeyes we just cut up. You didn't see all the fat inside of them, like the marbling and stuff. Which usually I'm a huge ribeye fan, so like the marbling is kind of like my favorite part. And I'm like, what's going on here? Then realizing that hey, all right, well you're raising your animals differently, so you get actually different product coming out of it.
Our rabbits, we actually do give them a mixture of grain and hay and stuff, but they eat a lot of grain. So in the beginning, when we first started doing our meat rabbits and we cut them open, they were actually pretty fatty, and we were surprised how fatty the rabbits were because they're supposed to have the leanest meat of all the animals. And so I was kind of expecting the cows to be more fatty, even though they've only ever had grass, hay, and the occasional corn to get them to the fence. But other than that, they've never had any grain. So, I guess it just goes to show what little bit of grain can do to the meat.
Right. So when you do your next meat cow, would you think about considering finishing like the cow off with grain next time maybe? Or so for example, like so we have ours are all grass fed and pasture raised, but then we as they get closer to butcher date, we do throw more like sweet feed and corn, and then of course you guys have a mixed flock, which we also have a mixed flock. So for us, it's hard to throw corn because corn really is hard on the sheep, and you throw them too much corn. I don't like to throw any corn at my sheep, but corn on the cow is good. Would you consider like segregating the cows and like graining them to try to get a little more of that marbling, or you probably want to wait until you taste it?
That's what I was gonna say. I'm not really sold either way or not, because I haven't experienced it myself. So I want to see how this goes. And I mean, obviously, I've had I guess I would assume I've had grain-fed cows with all the marbling inside. So I'm interested to see the difference in flavor, really. So I don't want to make a decision on that quite yet. Obviously, we have calves in the field right now still, so we'll be able to. We have a little while to make that decision and taste and kind of experimenting is kind of what we're doing right now to see what we do like and see what cuts we like, etc.
Gotcha. So overall, you would say on a scale of 1 to 10, how manageable is it to get calves, raise calves, and then butcher them yourself? How would you tell a new homesteader?
An average cow or our problem cows?
Right, and that's the thing. You don't know what you're going to get.
For us, I would say we've probably had like a 7 out of 10 experience. It was more good than bad. We had one cow that escaped in the beginning a lot, but we fixed that problem. And then we had one cow that was really mean, so it's not like we could get in there and do anything in the pasture what we needed to do. So we definitely had some obstacles with these cows, but overall the experience was pretty easy. They're pretty self-sufficient. We just had to supplement with hay because our pasture got eaten down really quickly. But I would highly recommend it. I mean, we're not going to stop doing it. We're going to get more cows. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to get them younger and hope for nicer cows next time, because all animals escape. I feel like there's always a problem animal or, the problem kid in the group. So that's expected. So always just prepare for something to not go as planned. But overall, everything worked out. The whole process has surprisingly been pretty simple, and now we have all this perfect red, delicious, lean meat in the freezer. Almost in the freezer.
Almost,
it's in
yeah.
the fridge.
We have a little bit of work to do here. We'll be working for the rest of the day, and hopefully we can get to the point where tomorrow there's not a whole lot to do. So,
no, I'm definitely excited to do, like Molly said, more of everything. Work on building more pastures, rotating animals more, and kind of building the science around it. Not just for the meat and the animals living a healthy lifestyle, but also like the soil, the land, and the grass that they're eating, etc. And building up the right environment that we want, I guess, for the animals.
Because the rule of thumb is like 1 cow per acre. And when we got the cows, we had 3 pregnant cows. So then we ended up with 6 cows total on like maybe an acre and a half of pasture. And then we'd rotate them to another acre of pasture. So we did supplement with hay. So they were eating enough, but the grass just got really eaten down, plus with the sheep and everything. So we will go smaller next time and more consistently, kind of like you and April do, and get a cow every year and do it every other year.
Gotcha. Well, anything else you guys want to add to?
Yeah, I think Molly's crazy. I want to do more cows, if anything.
I know. This is the problem.
I think that we have 25 acres, so we obviously have a lot to work with.
Well, that's true. I mean, the back just.
So I think it's really just setting it up right and actually get the infrastructure ready, because I'm more of a buy animals, figure out the infrastructure later.
I'd say you definitely like to pull the trigger on a lot of things.
The first week that we that we bought the farm and moved in, we didn't have any fences, no chicken coop, nothing. He goes somewhere. I thought he was going to the store. He comes home with 14 chickens and 4 rabbits. I was like, what? What are you doing? Where are we going to put these animals? And so then he quickly transformed our shed into a chicken coop, and we figured out the rabbits and got everything set up. So I feel like he works best under pressure, but I'm the opposite, and I'm like, we need to build the perfect structure and have the perfect fence and have everything lined up before we get the animal. So maybe next time.
I think that's what actually holds a lot of people up, because they think they have to have the perfect scenario to do everything. Even just buying a farm, everybody was like, oh, you're not ready for that. Like, wait till you're older, wait till blah, 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 blah. There's no perfect time to do anything in your life, whether that's farming or anything that you're interested in. And, I think you need to, if that's something you want to do, you need to take that leap of faith and make it work, make it work until it's like the perfect way you do it. But no time's ever going to be right for anything, whether that's farm animals, kids, there's no perfect time, or moving, or even dinner time. Like, there's no perfect dinner time out there. So I think everybody just needs to take that leap of faith and actually do it, because if you keep making excuses, there's
But if you're
No
a
time.
small farm right now and you only have like chickens and goats or rabbits or whatever, and you're intimidated to get a cow, I would not be. I would just do it. Our cows have been friendly to the other pasture animals. They just did not like people. So they got along with the sheep. We have an alpaca over there. We have 2 guard dogs, and they all get along great. So that was never an issue. And I was kind of intimidated to get cows because they're such a big animal, and also to get sheep because they're herd animals and there's a lot of them. But it all just kind of worked out, and they're pretty self-sufficient. They're the easiest of our animals to take care of because you don't really have to do much.
Yeah, just be smart about it. You know, I was dumb enough to actually, when we first got them, I was in the pasture all the time trying to hang out with the cows and feed them, make them like me. And I was really dumb about it. Like looking back at it now, like I was just in there, no gun, no stick, no nothing, just like, hey cows, I'm gonna be your friend. And I mean, obviously I wasn't the best thing.
Worked for about a week.
Cows are fast and they're strong, and apparently they can jump really high over fences. So just be careful when you're doing stuff.
Like with any animal, you know. I mean, chickens can peck you if you're not looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys had quite a few chickens pecking my boots yesterday.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
Our cleanup crew.
absolutely. You know, I would totally start with chickens again. Like I think that was the right step, and now we have so many chickens, and there's only going to be much more. Lots coming soon. To both homesteads here, you know, we're both going to get.
We all have lots of plans.
We're both really excited to expand our farms and.
We all individually have a lot of plans, and then we have to work as couples to figure out what the plan is.
I think Nate and I are really on the same page, and then our wives are kind of like, "Are you sure you guys really should be doing that?" And I think that's kind of like the entrepreneurial side of us. Like we see the benefits of it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want grass-fed, cage-free, organic, blah 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 stuff that we're really passionate about. There's a lot of customers out there that want the same thing.
But that's what makes both of our balances work. You know, you guys are kind of just like, let's go do it and buy these animals and make this happen. And we're kind of like, hey, wait a minute. Like, do we have the funds for this? Do we have the infrastructure?
Fake it till you make it, guys.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of stuff that's going to be going on here coming up, but I mean, it's been fun coming down here and seeing you guys set up, seeing different things, and now you guys have your meat supply for a while.
Now
so
we gotta come see you guys.
Yeah, exactly. We have a significantly less land, so
Yeah, a lot less impressive.
yeah, definitely.
I doubt it. This is just
Hopefully, we'll come back to you guys tomorrow and we'll say that we actually shot a duck.
they've been trying.
Yeah, we've been looking for ducks. We saw 2 ducks today, so we'll see.
Better than yesterday.
We'll see what happens.
We're improving every day.
We are. Well, I guess we'll get back to finishing up this butchering, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow, huh?
Tune in.
Yeah.
You're working.